So good evening, everybody. I'm Kathy Kennedy, and I am the Senior Manager of Outreach for the Peconic Land Trust. Welcome to our ongoing series of Zoom presentations. I hope you're doing well and staying safe and healthy. From all of us at the Trust, we do wish you the best, and we're grateful that you're spending some time with us this evening. As Yvette had mentioned, we are using the Q&A in the chat. So for now, you're muted, but you can enter your questions there. Because Susan has another presentation and she's in much demand this evening, we're going to get right to the program. And I will share information about the trust at the end of the program so that we can give Susan every moment that she needs to be able to share the information that she wants to let us know. But tonight we are honoring International Dark Sky Week, which is April 17th through the 24th. And we welcome Susan Harder to share her presentation this evening. Susan is a 20-year dark sky advocate, and she's been working to promote better lighting practices to protect the view of the night sky, as well as to protect the natural nocturnal environment while providing adequate lighting for safety. Trained by the Illuminating Engineering Society in lighting design, Susan volunteers her time to help educate the public as well as elected officials. This has resulted in many towns enacting outdoor lighting regulations and policies that reflect the value of dark sky principles. Susan approaches the subject with common sense paired with scientific research in the field and is the New York State representative of the International Dark Sky Association. Tonight's discussion will cover actions we can all take as individuals and collectively to embrace better lighting practices that support the environment and public health. Welcome, Susan, if you want to take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to give this talk. I've specially tailored it to the Peconic Land Trust, which I love. I love the organization. I miss the summer picnics. I'm hoping you'll have it again this year. I've been doing this for about 20 years, and I've learned a great deal, and more is coming all the time. This is a technology that is changing constantly. We've had more and more people get involved that are in the health professions in terms of night lighting. Like the lady said, I will be available for questions and answers offline. You can call me or you can email me. I'd be happy to answer your questions. And this is International Dark Sky Week, and it's we're in the week itself. It's the 5th through the 12th, but if you want to celebrate it next week, that's fine too. It just amounts to going outside and enjoying the night sky. Turn off some unnecessary lighting so you can see the stars better. The organization that started this whole movement is in Tucson, Arizona, which is ringed with observatories. And the astronomers got together and met with the city fathers, and they enacted the first dark sky laws. So if you ever go to Tucson, you'll see that they have really quite excellent light fixtures, and they pay attention to this issue very carefully. They have astrotourism, which brings millions of dollars into Tucson every year. We're pretty familiar with sky glow. It's when light is directed up and hits particulate and moisture and causes this urban look to our towns and villages. This is with and without the night lighting after a blackout. This is what a comet would look like in an urban versus out here on the East End. Only a third of the people in this country can see the Milky Way. We're lucky from time to time we are able to see it ourselves. People always want to know how I got involved. Well, this is my neighbor's lights, and they were shining into my house. So I looked into legislation which was on our books, but it wasn't clear. So I helped work with East Hampton, and we set in definitions. You need to have definitions in order to help to make it more enforceable. The only aspect of lighting that falls under the category of light pollution is that which is misdirected, unshielded, excessive, or unnecessary. It's not all night lighting. You can see it, it's glare, it's sky glow, and it also amounts to air pollution. Here we have an example of a typical side-mounted floodlight. Light pollution is up, light trespasses across, and the useful light goes down. This is a picture of in East Hampton. Here's an illustration of a shielding type fixture that we advocate. lots of consequences besides the sky glow and the glare and the light trespass. We waste a tremendous amount of electricity. There are untold ecological disturbances. And like I said, human health is severely affected by night lighting. And our loss of connection to the night sky can't be calculated. What we do is we advocate using shielded fixtures, not exceeding professional light levels on the ground, which are measured in foot candles. Try to use the lighting for the safety of the pedestrians, traffic, and property identification, and mounting it at the correct height, not too high, not too low. And also, we really need to start to talk about the blue aspect of the light source. And, there's going to be plenty of light to see well. And when you reduce glare, you have better night vision, because you know what it's like when you have glare in your eyes. We use energy wisely, and we protect our health, the natural and nocturnal environment. And I have found that often changing fixtures or changing the lighting, putting in controls, saves money and pays for itself. We have to remember that a lot of our electricity, in fact, the majority of it, is generated by burning oil and coal. And this goes into the estimates. And these are old estimates. Millions of tons of coal, millions of barrels of oil. And of course, this causes tremendous air pollution, which then, of course, makes it harder also to see the stars, to breathe. And most of the light pollution that we have is generated through street lights, through unshielded fixtures, and also street lights that are unnecessary. There's quite a few of those. So we have worked with the towns to change out the type of fixture. Instead of having the bulb, we now have these flat lens. Glare is a serious problem when lights are straight out. There's a little off to the left, there's a railroad sign that you can't see because of the glare. Our night vision, how when you come out of a movie theater, and you can't see as well, it's called adaptation. So when you can't really see very bright and dark at the same time. So it's very important to keep the light levels down. Light trespass is a very serious issue. This is on the upper left is a housing development, and on the bottom right is a gentleman's house that's across the street, which is completely illuminated by all the extra light crossing the street. This is a little illustration of that we had in an East Hampton brochure. This is me lying in my bed with my neighbor's lights coming in the window. So this is actually, you're very familiar, I'm sure, with this picture, which if you watch Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, any of those comics at night, they usually have this in their background. But it's a fake picture because the world is half light and half dark. And it has evolved over millennia. And our bodies undergo different functions. There's our circadian rhythms. So humans are not nocturnal. There's a great many functions that go on at night in the dark, which are disrupted by night lighting. They've connected breast cancer and prostate cancer with excessive levels of light at night. So our human health is affected in many, many ways. And this is, like I said, this is being discovered more and more. We got the air and water pollution. Melatonin suppression is a very important aspect of our health problems. Sleep disturbances. It's suspected in childhood leukemia. The glare has caused accidents. And, losing the natural nocturnal environment is very important because the night sky is an inspiration for people. We have to remember electric lighting is it's only about 100 years old. It permits us to get around at night, but we do need to use it much more carefully. It started out with candle, gas, and oil. That was about 200 lumens, which is the amount of light leaving a bulb. Then we developed incandescent, 1800, and now we're up into the high intensity, which is up to 124,000 lumens. So what's a lumen? Watts is the energy going in. A lumen is the light going out. And it's really important to pay attention to lumens now that we're moving into more energy efficient bulbs. And of course, there's a billion bulbs these days, all colors, all shapes, all sizes, all intensities, and even the base of bulbs is very different. And one of the problems that we've started to encounter with the light pollution is LEDs, which are very energy efficient, but they have to be used properly and carefully because they can deteriorate our vision. They affect our eyesight. It also exacerbates diseases, and also we know that having any LED light source within 2 hours of bedtime disrupts our sleep. And I'll go through all of this later. And we just have to remember, light bulbs are false. On the upper left is the daylight. It's almost equal amounts of different colors in the spectrum. And then the LEDs below it are it has a spike of blue. And the blue is causing danger for human beings. This is the LED. Because you know how it is when you pass those cars with bluish headlights and you can't see as well? It's because your pupil is shutting down. The blue light makes you squint, and it actually hurts, and it is damaging our eyes over time. And the more blue in the light source, the more sky glow, because blue waves are short and they scatter more. That's why our sky is blue during the day, because the sky is black. And then the blue light is more visual. So when you buy your LEDs, you want to buy not just warm, but 2700 or less Kelvin. So there's another term we have to learn, Kelvin, and that's the amount of blue light that's in a light source. This was back in 2002, and I want to feature it because it was the very first ecological studies done on different creatures. And they discovered every single creature that they studied was impacted negatively by night lighting. Most creatures are nocturnal, and this is the poster that they produced. They talked about the birds and etc. They did come to this conclusion. Night lighting results in ecological disturbances and mortality of individuals and entire species in ways that are being discovered in every study that they conducted. And they discussed, because the flora and fauna has evolved as we have, over years. And every habitat and all their foraging and their eating, every single aspect of their lives was altered by night lighting. And I'm not going to go through every one of these, but the bats, the sea turtles, frogs, salamanders, snakes, moths, fish, songbirds, zooplankton, trees, puffins and petrels, and they were all disrupted by night lighting. This is an aspect of lighting that you may be familiar with. Down in Florida, they have laws to keep lighting off the beach so that when the turtles are born, that they'll go towards the water rather than towards land and the lights, because they're drawn towards light. And here's a little diagram that shows, to the light, they went off to the left. Without the light, they went over to the ocean. And his Travis Longcore's conclusion was, of all the things we do for nature preservation are necessary, but they might not be sufficient if they don't address night lighting. Oh, also, there's a preference for researchers to study nature during the day because they can see things. So they're realizing that there was a preference to studying creatures during the day, and they know now to correct that. This is a poster for Migrating Bird Day, but there's stars in the background, and they know now that birds partially migrate. Well, they migrate at night in order to conserve energy because they don't want to overheat, but also they navigate partly by the stars, as do the whales. They've been discovering all this stuff. This is all recent. So they're thrown off course, when they've got bright upwardly directed lights. They also circle communication towers in the fog over and over and over, around and around and around. They just die of exhaustion, which I think happened at the LIPA plant over in Bridgehampton. They had tons of dead birds after a foggy night because they've got all those big, tall lit towers. In Toronto, they collect the birds that hit the buildings, and they've started to shut off extra lights, the building wash lights, during migration season in New York City as well, and Toronto, and Chicago. This is a new study that I read the other day about fireflies are losing their ability to find each other, in lit environments, because that's how they communicate. That's how they mate. It's a little cartoon. Oops, I got it backwards. Oh, no, wait. This is the night before Thanksgiving. And this is, I can't see the stars. I can't see my hand. I thought that was funny. With respect to lighting up trees, I know they have an effort in Bridgehampton now to start to plant some more trees. I'm going to recommend that they try not to plant them too close to lighting, because when you have a tree that's lit up, it doesn't go into dormancy, or at least part of this tree did not, because the street light was lighting up, and it suffers dieback. So we need to keep lighting out of trees if we can. This is a better lighting design if you have to light. The whole aspect of light pollution that I enjoy is the fact that it can be reversed in our lifetime. It's not like water pollution and everything else. This is something that we can deal with. It's cost effective to do it. So we change the fixtures, we change the bulbs, you change the location, add timers and sensors is critical, especially out here, because, really people go to bed pretty early out here. These are the types of fixtures that we advocate. On the left side of the screen are the previous fixtures, and on the right-hand side are the new ones. The manufacturers are really getting on board with this and helping us out. And the International Dark Sky Association has a program where they approve fixtures based on the shielding and the quality of lighting. There are also references that we use. We reference the Illuminating Engineer Society. They produce recommended practices for different aspects: sidewalks, streets, etc., buildings. Part of our problem was that people use the so-called old-fashioned traditional light fixtures, but it's got the bulb right in the middle of the fixture. And that was when we used flame. So now we have manufacturers that are recessing the bulb up into the cap. And here you have an example. On the left-hand side, you've got the bulb right in the middle, and on the right-hand side, they have the light source above, which then sheds all the light downward by using these reflectors. Here's some so-called historic fixtures, but they meet the definition of fully shielded. These are two photographs I took at the Appia Way. So in Rome, they have shielded fixtures. And like I said, the manufacturers are helping us out, calling it good neighbor lighting. And here's one of their brochures. We also try to dispel the prevailing attitude that lighting provides security. It really doesn't. In fact, the opposite is true. When you light up a whole house on the outside and you go back to New York, it really doesn't prevent people from, approaching the property. It's much more sensible to have two interior lights that are on different timers that give the illusion that you're home. So the Journal of Criminology said, if any decision is taken to increase lighting, it needs to be taken on the best possible evidence. And the Department of Justice said there is a strong indication that increased lighting only decreases the fear of crime, but not crime. And they queried some people who had carried out crimes, and they said, well, what deters you? And dogs, alarm system, somebody's at home, and security lighting wasn't even mentioned. We can't have good lighting. Here's a prison with good lighting. It's all shielded and aimed downward. ATM is one of our main sources of light pollution, and their excuse is that we have a New York state law, but there's nothing in the New York state law that dictates that they can use better lighting for their ATM machines. Here's a really good example of the before and after. This is an after, and they're using 3,500 watts. And here's the before, using 6,400 watts. And they've been doing studies to say that without the glare, And with sensible light levels, people feel safer. And in fact, in this particular instance, they ended up buying more gas, which I don't understand the connection with that. So the way that we help people understand how to work on light pollution is we educate, we point out examples, then we set policies and guidelines to the municipalities, and then regulations are important. You have to have the carrot and the stick, and then there's enforcement. And so I thought I'd bring this up. So we got the Lorax, who was protecting the trees, and I developed this little figure, Cool Hoot, to help people not light pollute. This is a page from the East Hampton brochure about light pollution that was distributed to all the residents. And David Sobel, who the author of Galileo's Daughter, gave us a nice quote: "The blight of urban skyglow stops children from wishing on stars and lovers from counting them. Light pollution severs our human connection to the beautiful celestial creatures of the night." Southampton has what they call a quick guide to let the residents know what the law states and how to adhere to it. East Hampton hands this out. It's about a 4-page brochure for commercial development, so they'll be able to produce a good lighting plan. And but we have to change. And change has a considerable psychological impact on the human mind. To the fearful, it is threatening because it means that things may get worse. To the hopeful, it is encouraging because things may get better. To the confident, it is inspiring because the challenge exists to make things better. This is what we're hoping to bring back: a thick night sky full of stars. And to let you all know that we do have an observatory here. It's located on property behind the tennis center at the Ross School. This is a 20-inch professional grade Meade telescope that we bought. And it's installed in a little observatory building. And it will be accessible to the public at some point. And we do give little talks and lectures and star parties. I can answer some questions. Oh, boy, that was quick. Did I go too fast? Because I can go back and look at a few things if you want me to repeat some things. These are my websites. I'll take questions.
So yes, Kathy, or there are a couple that have come up. One in the chat, which was, does interior lighting through windows have the same lantern impact as exterior lighting?
I didn't understand it. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Does interior lighting through windows have the same lantern impact as exterior lighting? Yes.
I actually live in a glass house, so I'm very aware of this. And I think the way to work on that is to make certain that you've got that you're shielding the light source, so that bare bulbs are not facing out the window, because light pollution isn't just light that goes up. It's also light. It's actually more light pollution is created when light goes straight out, because it hits more particulate than if it was aimed directly straight up into the sky. I hope that makes sense. But yes, I agree. But yet we do not have regulations about interior lighting affecting the outdoors. It's kind of difficult to write that sort of thing. I'd like to be able to figure that out someday. But yes, you can absolutely impact the vision, what we refer to as light pollution by interior lighting.
There's a question in the Q&A from someone in Southold. Virginia asks, are there regulations in Southold that prevent my neighbor from illuminating my bedroom every night?
I'm actually working with a committee in Southold. It's called the Dark Sky, I think it's Consortium. But check the Beacon this week, because Bob DeLuca, who's with the group for the East End, he wrote a wonderful piece about appreciating the night sky. I have to tell you, sometimes In fact, most times, I will say that when a house is constructed, an electrician will just come in, stick up big floodlights as high as he possibly can, so he has to get called back to change the bulb, and they aim them straight out. So your neighbor may not even know that their light is illuminating your bedroom. Sometimes it helps, and in fact, on my website, thedarkskysociety.org, I have a handout, and it's about how to talk to your neighbor about a bad light. And so if, before you do what I did, which was my neighbor's light was driving me crazy, so I went over there and banged on the door. So don't do that. But if you invite your neighbor to your house to look back at their house, they may really not have any idea that their light is illuminating your bedroom. But it's really important not to have light in your bedroom at night. In fact, we should all be sleeping in the pitch black because our bodies need that darkness in order to regenerate. And I'm finding out more and more implications about this all the time. It's very important. In fact, if you have to get up in the middle of the night, which most of us do, you can keep your melatonin level if you use a red light for your night light. So you want to keep you got to keep that blue out of your bedroom, and within 2 hours of sleeping, they do have, I actually have them on right now. They have blue light blocking glasses. And if you'll wear those when you're watching TV at night or when you're on your, iPad, it'll help you regenerate your melatonin. And you could really go through your entire circadian rhythm at night if you do that. Otherwise, you're disrupting your sleep and causing health problems.
Wow. Interesting. I didn't know that either. That's interesting. Susan, there's another question in the Q&A that's from Anne, and Anne wonders, are LED lights inside with the blue component harmful to health?
Actually, they are. I hate to say it. That's why you have to look at the packaging very carefully. And I would recommend using the LEDs for daytime lighting. And at night, that we still have the incandescent bulbs. They're much preferable like I said, within 2 hours of sleeping. LEDs are a great invention, but we got to be really careful about using them. And, for street lights, unfortunately in Southampton, this was done before people had the correct information. They've got very high Kelvin street lights. They look sort of bluish white. But the recommendation is that they maintain the same color as they were before. So we have to use a Kelvin of about 1800 for street lights. So I'm hoping to affect that change when they start to do it in East Hampton. But does that answer your question?
It sounds like you answered it pretty well, I think, Susan. Yvette, is there something in the chat you want to bring up?
Sure. Okay. Is there a way to sign up for the access to the telescope? So
yeah, hamptonsobservatory.org. And it's free to be a member. And you'll get, they don't send out a whole bunch of information, but you get invited to what we call our star parties, where somebody will talk about the stars, and sometimes people will bring their telescopes, and this will all happen once we're getting our vaccines and out and about. Of course, it's always an outdoor activity. And our executive director is Donna McCormick, so you'll get a message from her.
And this is maybe probably a little follow up to the question earlier regarding Southold, but really about talking to your neighbors. There's one about a person who, I guess their neighbor has 3 very bright lights along their rooftop. So are there regulations about rooftop lighting, or it's again, is this the?
I don't think there is yet, but I feel very strongly that Southold is on a good path through this committee that they're putting together. and contact the group for the East End and ask them how you can get informed about what they're doing, because they're going to try to affect the law in Southold. There is a law right now, but all these laws, they constantly have to be amended. I'm working on amending the Sag Harbor lighting code right now. But codes have to be updated, and the municipal people in Southold, they care about this issue. They would like to hear from you. So when we get around to working on those amendments, it would be great if we had your input, especially if you could take a nice photo. That always helps.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this. This person is actually in Hampton Bays, so related to the South.
Yes, in Hampton Bays, there's for commercial properties, they cannot put lights all around the perimeter of the buildings. They used to do that. Mm-hmm. That's not that. I know for sure that's against the law. Mm-hmm. There's something else that we did in actually for the whole. I didn't put it in the talk, but there's big floodlights that are mounted on utility poles for commercial properties, and a group of us worked with the Long Island Power Authority, and we changed those over to a shielded. We got them to change them over to a shielded fixture. This is back when Richie Kessel was in charge of LIPA. So if and when you see them that are not shielded, that are aimed straight out, they're sort of faced like this. If you see them like this on a public utility pole instead of like this, you can get in touch with code enforcement. And for free, LIPA changes it. So it's not going to cost anybody anything.
I have a question that came up in the Q&A from Donna. Are all lights required to list the number of lumens now? What is the correct number for outdoor lighting? And what about solar patio lights? So I can repeat those.
Yeah, a couple of things. In terms of lumens, for exterior lighting around a door, you don't need more than about either 600 or 900 lumens. And for landscape lighting, you really need to keep it in the lumen, like 200 lumens. Solar lights, and I just bought some that are motion sensor activated. Unfortunately, a lot of the solar landscape lights stay on all night long, until they burn out the battery. But I went on Amazon and they had a fully shielded fixture. I should put it in my talk. And it's motion sensor activated. So it means the battery will last longer and they don't need to be on, unless a raccoon gets underneath it.
Yvette, do you have anything else in the chat?
Yeah, so there was a question from somebody from Shelter Island where they feel that the code is very vague. In your opinion, which town has the best code to use as a model?
Oh, I'd have to say to be. That will be something that will to be. I can't say anybody has the best one. I really can't, because information keeps coming in where we have to keep changing them. So until we can address this LED issue more carefully and more thoroughly, I can't really say that we have a best right now.
And then this was more of a informational, there are a couple of informational pieces. One from Kim, a thank you, very informative. I mentioned that her and her husband are longtime advocates and that people might be interested. Audubon is having a meeting planning for bird-friendly cities coming up, and it says February 17th. So I'm thinking maybe it's April 17th that it's coming up. So I would definitely check out Audubon. People are interested in that. And also I put into the chat a note from Jim Slezak that the Town of Southampton Dark Skies Advisory Committee is looking for new members. Mm-hmm. So Jim's email address is there if you're interested in getting in touch.
And please, that's a great group of people doing very good work. I would say of all the dark sky committees that I've worked with, Southampton is superb. Unfortunately, they were not consulted prior to that big streetlight conversion, because they could have affected it, and made it a much better situation for the town, much better. But kind of slipped over there, went around them, and they have some consequences as a result. But they're very well informed and very hardworking, lovely people. But they meet the third Friday, I believe, of every month in Southampton Town Hall or on Zoom, probably Zoom now. But fabulous. And I think Jim is also an astronomer. That helps.
And just to correct, so the Audubon meeting was on February 17th. So there's a recording of that on their website. So for folks who want to check that out. And then there was another, do covered porches serve to control the light bleed of exterior fixtures?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Do covered porches serve to control the light bleed of exterior fixtures?
Not really, because like I said, when it's going straight out, you're going to have glare if the bulb is exposed. Now, if you've got a porch light where the socket is above the bulb, then in the hardware store, you can buy a bulb called an R20, and the bulb itself is shielded on the sides so that all the light goes down, spreads nicely, and in fact, you can lower the wattage because you're getting 100% of the light illuminating the surface of where you're walking. But it's called an R20 bulb, and if you've got a porch light where the socket is above, you can use that bulb, and that'd be great. But generally, porch lights are like the ones I had in the illustration, where the bulb is exposed, and therefore glare is going to be projected, probably across the property line.
I don't have any other questions in the Q&A or the chat. Kathy, do you see anything?
Yeah, actually, there was another question from Anne asking, are yellow lights for outdoor use better?
Fabulous. Fabulous. I mean, with the traditional, the bug light, the yellow bug lights, because they don't attract and they don't disrupt insects. And there's less blue, obviously, and you're going to impact, and you can also see better. When there's less blue in the light source, your eyes can see better. Your night vision is improved with warmer light sources. So bug lights are fantastic. And now they have them in LEDs. So you'd save energy, save the insects, and you can see better. Good question.
Susan, I was wondering if maybe we could circle back to your contact information just so folks can jot that down if they want to take that.
Because sometimes, you have to kind of sit on this information overnight. And as you drive around, you'll start to see, examples of what I've shown you, good and bad.
And we're recording tonight's meeting as well. And so probably by mid-morning tomorrow, it will be up and available on our website for anybody who missed it. So we can make sure, and we'll include, actually, when we post it on our website, we'll include Susan's contact information there too. So you can just easily reach out to her. And the information on the hamptonsobservatory.org. So for folks who want to join that.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to your group.
Well,
I'm available. Well, I'm going to sign off and go. I'm introducing Davis Obel tonight to a Guildhall presentation of Poetry and the Night Sky. She's going to be editing a page in Scientific American on poetry. We're very fortunate. She's a member of our community. She wrote Galileo's Daughter and Longitude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's my neighbor. She's the person who turned me on to the International Dark Sky Association. So I'm very grateful to her.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Susan, today. And with all the hard work that you've been doing on this issue, clearly you are having an impact and making a difference to the communities. And Southampton Town has done great, but East Hampton, Southold, all the towns really need your expertise. Mm-hmm. And so do the wildlife and, of course, the humans. So I'm sure we all learned a lot tonight. But I want to thank you again for taking the time to join with us and share your knowledge, and wish you well for the evening after this.
Thank you. And it's been lovely working with you, and I hope to see you more often in person. So take care, ladies, and thank you. And thanks to everybody who tuned in today. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
So for those that are staying on the call tonight and interested in some more information, the trust has been doing a number of the Zoom programs, and hopefully this is not the first one you've tuned into. We've offered them every month, at least once or twice a month throughout this past year, and we are continuing to do that. So our website calendar has the upcoming programs planned through at least May or June, I think June. And so please take a look at that, and hopefully there's more programming that you'll be interested in joining with us to learn more. Some of the things that are coming up that I'm aware of right now are Wednesday, April 21st, we're doing something called Farm to Food Pantry, addressing food insecurity on the East End. And that's going to be also Zoom from 6 to 7 on Wednesday, the 21st. We have a talk with local winemakers coming up on April 28th. So those are just a couple of them that are coming up, as well as some videos that we're working on. So trying to keep information flowing. And if you have a suggestion for a topic that you'd like to see us do in the future, please let us know. So with that, I think we can say goodnight, unless Yvette has additional thoughts to share.
No, it was great. Great seeing so many people on tonight, and echo Kathy's remarks, but hope everybody is doing well. And we do look forward to seeing you all in person, hopefully in the near future. But take care, be well, think about your home lighting, and hopefully we'll be able to maybe having a program at the observatory, which sounds like so much fun. So everybody have a wonderful weekend coming up, and we'll see you soon.